Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lewis Cooper Experience podcast, Experience episode 2. Um, One thing I realised in the last episode, I didn't quite explain the name of the podcast, and because it's a bit of a silly name, it's a bit of a mouthful. The reason behind it is I've always wanted to do something called the Lewis Cooper Experience. It's always been a running joke that I've had mainly with myself and a few other people. I remember someone saying to me, "You'll never have anything called the Lewis Cooper Experience," and I mean, they're not laughing now. They might be, I don't know where they are, but yeah, and I didn't. I was just going to call it the Lewis Cooper Experience, but I didn't want people to think that I was copying like the Joe Rogan Experience, like the biggest podcast in the world. So I just thought to add that difference, I'll call it the Lewis Cooper Experience Podcast Experience because you're experiencing the Lewis Cooper Experience via podcast. Um, yeah, so I think that makes perfect sense. I always wanted it to be like a band name, but I'm not musically inclined in any way, so I've never felt the need to start up a band. But anyway, getting on to the good stuff this week, we're going to have, again as last week, movie of the week, comic book of the week, and action figure of the week, and then a news roundup as well. Main bit of news this week, straight off the bat, is that I've cut my hair. I did it myself, which I'm getting used to. I mean, I'm in my 30s now, so it's probably something. I mean, late 20s, so it's probably something I should be doing. Um, but yeah, just don't look at the back because the back's hard to do. But yeah, getting straight down to it. My movie of the week is one that I watched last night, and I've been on a bit of a Jack Nicholson thing the past few days, and I watched the movie As Good as It Gets. And the reason this is movie of the week isn't because I love it or it's my favourite, it's just because I just want to talk about it because it's fresh in my head and I found it interesting. It is from 1997, directed by James L. Brooks, and I thought I'd seen it and I realised that I've got it mixed up with another Jack Nicholson film from I think a bit later on called Something's Got to Give with Diane Keaton. Um, so I got them confused, and I don't think I had seen this one. I may have a long time ago when I was a kid, maybe. But the main cast is Jack Nicholson, Helen Hunt, and Greg Kinnear, and also Cuba Gooding Jr. is in it as well in a smaller role. I won't go too into the plot details, but I just found it quite interesting. It's a very interestingly put together film, and it is, I believe it was Jack Nicholson's third Oscar. Yeah, it would be because his first one was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and then Terms of Endearment, I think, and then yeah, and then this. And I think he was about mid 60s at this point. But yeah, it's I did enjoy it. I found the like romantic element of it was a little bit far fetched in some ways, I thought, but not to the point where it took me out of it really. Um, but Jack Nicholson's character is an author, and he's quite well. He's very unpleasant. I mean, he his character is dealing with quite severe obsessive compulsive disorder, so he kind of is a bit sharp with people. He doesn't let people touch him. He doesn't step on cracks in the pavement and that kind of thing. And he's very specific about certain things. But also, he's just generally quite unpleasant. And I'm not saying his obsessive compulsive disorder makes him unpleasant. He just is. And I think especially early on in the film, he's quite racist towards one character, and he's particularly unpleasant to Greg Kinnear's character because he's gay, and just to women in general. And it kind of to the point where you kind of go, I mean, for one thing, if that was made nowadays, he'd be, if he was a real person, I mean, he'd be cancelled immediately. But yeah, I just feel like the certain distances he goes to, I don't feel like people would really forgive him or give him as much of a chance. But this was 20 plus years ago. It was a different time then, I guess. But the film is kind of like him kind of coming full circle in a way. And one bit I liked early on is that he looks after Greg Kinnear's character's dog, which is his idea of hell. But the dog comes to like him, and he starts to like the dog as well. And that was the bit I really liked about it. But Helen Hunt is fantastic in it as well. And I was watching it, and I knew Jack Nicholson won the Oscar for it, but I didn't know Helen Hunt did. And as I was watching it, I had a feeling that she probably did, or at the very least was nominated, because Helen Hunt's great anyway, and she's just this really likable, sincere character in this, and you really, out of all the characters, she's the one you sympathise with the most, definitely. But yeah, it's on Amazon Prime, so if you like a kind of a romantic comedy, but not like not in a that kind of schmaltzy kind of way, probably a bit more sardonic in some ways. Yeah, that's a word. Um, But yeah, I liked it. So I didn't love it, but I think it's worth a watch if you like that kind of thing. If you're a Jack Nicholson completionist. But yeah, my moving on. My comic of the week, which I can't actually show you because it's a digital comic. I've just tried to hold my digital reading app up to the screen and it doesn't work, but that's fine. I'm just going to talk about it anyway. I didn't need visual aids. My comic of the week is Ultimate Spider-Man, which is a series that started in 2000 by Brian Michael Bendis and Mark Bagley. And I read it originally 20 years ago on Marvel.comics, which was the precursor to kind of digital comics as they are now. And it works almost exactly the same way. And you could read them all for free on the Marvel website, which I did. And it's a great, great comic. I did eventually buy it in physical form when it started coming out. Over here as well. But it's basically in the early 2000s, Marvel kind of took some of their most popular characters like Spider-Man, X-Men, and later the Avengers, and they just relaunched them and redid their origins because they wanted to attract new readers because the X-Men movie had just come out and comics were quite popular again. This was just before the Spider-Man movie, Tobey Maguire, came out. Um, and they kind of took it back to basics and they just relaunched the origin. And I think Ultimate Spider-Man, having read it again, so probably about the fourth or fifth time I've read it in my life, I think it is the perfect Spider-Man origin. Like it's the normal one in many ways, but this is before we'd had three movies or three new Spider-Man movies franchises in the past like nearly 20 years that we've had now. So it wasn't quite overdone at that point. But it works brilliantly. There is a little bit cringy in that. I mean, when it came out, I was in school, and the part of the story is obviously Peter Parker in high school, and he, uh, like the other kids, the way they talk and stuff like that. And I mean, obviously, I wasn't in school in America, but I don't remember kids ever talking like that. And with 20 years on, it's even worse now. But it's not a problem. It's just quite funny, really. But um, I think it is the ultimate, no pun intended, the ultimate Spider-Man origin. Um, and if somebody recently, or a little while ago, they asked me, they're trying to get their son into comics, and they say, like Spider-Man, what should he start with? And I said, Ultimate Spider-Man is the way to go. It's um, it's it's easy to get into. It's easy to read. It's not too childlike. But it's not too adult by any means as well. It's really, really the perfect origin for Spider-Man. I think I've never read the full run, but I feel like now I'm getting them on my Kindle. I feel like I might go through and read the whole thing because it went on for about 10 years, and it's I think the same creative team stayed on it the whole time, which is quite rare for a full comic book run, and it's very well renowned. And I believe that's where Miles Morales came from, who is now quite a popular character in his own right in the main Marvel universe. But anyway, my comic of the week, Ultimate Spider-Man. Okay, third section is action figure of the week, and this week it's another McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse. This is the first one that range that I brought because I really like them, and it's the Batman the Animated Series figure, which I really like because I love that series from the early 90s, the Batman Animated Series, and this is perfect to the design. I saw this in the shop and I didn't know it was a thing, and I just got it straight away. And this was before I've got proper back into action figure collecting, or proper into really, and I didn't want to take out the box, but eventually I did because it's way better that way. You can enjoy it more and appreciate it more. But yeah, this is pretty much spot on to what you look like in the series as well. It's a really, really nice figure. The only problem with it is the legs are very, very skinny, which again was part of the design. But when you try and stand it up, it does come with the normal collector stand these figures have that slots into the feet. But it's a nightmare to get them to stand up, and you can't really pose them as well. But it is a good figure. I do like it. When you get it just right, it works quite well. And again, very, very articulated. You've got all the elbow joints. They've got their double knee joint that they all have for some reason. Um, so you can put them in a number of different poses, which are quite cool. His head rotates a little bit, not quite as well because you've got the cowl there. But I like the way the cape goes over the shoulders, and I like the blue inside it as well. There is a variant of this figure that's coming out soon where it's the blue cowl and blue cape, which also looks pretty nice. But yeah, I like it. It's just quite chunky up top, quite skinny in the legs, which makes it hard for him to stand up really. But it's all good. They've got freaky flexible feet as well. Like, I mean, whose foot does that? Looks painful. This one does come from accessories. I haven't got them to hand at the moment, but you can swap his hands over because you see he's got fists there, but you can swap them for open hands, and he has got the grappling hook and the batarang as well. Yeah, I like him. I know if I hold it close, you can't really see it, but the face is pretty cool. It's got that stern kind of Batman look. But yeah, this is a pretty definitive Batman for me, so I really like it. I've got a Superman animated series one as well, which I might do in another video. I'm thinking about putting them together and doing some photos for my Instagram, where I have a few action figure photos and stuff like that. Lewis M Cooper 86, if you're interested in looking at that, give it a follow. Which brings us to my last section of the show, the news. As I previously mentioned, haircuts. Um, In other personal news, I took my friend's dog for a walk on Saturday and I saw lots of their dogs, which is cool because I'm a big dog fan. That was nice. Um, Main chunk of the news is a few new TV series in the works, which I'm interested in. I heard a little while ago they were doing a Godfather TV series, and I kind of thought, I don't really know how that's going to work. Are they going to make the movie as a TV show? But then, what I've actually heard is I think it's tentatively called The Offer, and it's actually about the making of The Godfather. And as soon as they said that, I was like, okay, I'm interested. So it's a dramatized version of the making of The Godfather, which is an interesting story because the real life mafia were quite involved in the making of the film, and they had certain demands about the film. Like, for example, you couldn't say the word mafia in the film. If you watch the first Godfather film, they don't use that word because the real life mafia said, don't say it. And I think there were a lot of them on set. I think I can't remember his name, but the actor who plays Luca Brasi, I think he was like a real life. I think he's a professional wrestler as well, but I think he was a real life crime guy. I don't know what you call him. I'm scared in case they come after me now. But yeah, I'm really interested in that. That sounds interesting. Back to the comic book world, new DC series that's just been announced, the Peacemaker or Peacemaker, I'm not sure which is based off of, well, is John Cena's character from the upcoming The Suicide Squad movie, the James Gunn movie. And I don't really know anything about Peacemaker because with this new Suicide Squad movie, they've kind of gone with really obscure DC characters. Um, and I quite like that because there's a lot of scope you can do. And DC has got some weird, all comics do, especially some weird like sort of Batman villains and stuff like that in the past. And I think Peacemaker is a character who wants peace, but by any means necessary, even if he has to kill for it. So I like that already. That's quite funny. And John Cena's costume is great. It looks ridiculous, but completely intentionally ridiculous. So, and I like John Cena as an actor as well. And most things he does, but he's really good. So I like the idea of having a series where they introduce this character and then pay it off in a film kind of thing. And the other series, again, staying in the comic world, I'm assuming this will be a Disney Plus show. They're talking about doing a Nick Fury series as well, presumably again with Samuel L. Jackson. Um, whether it'll be set in kind of the current continuity, or they'll de-age Samuel L. Jackson like they did in Captain Marvel, or they'll cast a younger actor, which is fine. Like I I feel like the digital de-aging thing is done a bit much nowadays when you could just use a younger actor. Like it's not, if they don't look exactly like them, then it's fine. People let these things go. It's okay. It's not really an issue. Um, but yeah, I saw someone mention the Jim Steranko, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, comic book run Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. from the late 60s, which is all spy stuff, and it kind of reinvented Nick Fury from being a soldier to being a spy. And I think if they kind of did kind of even it's set in slightly further in the past, but like a old school style spy show with de-aged Samuel Jackson would be pretty cool. I think. I thought the de-aging in Captain Marvel was amazing, though. To be fair, having said that about the de-aging, I think it's a bit sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you get Jeff Bridges in the Tron sequel, and sometimes you get Captain Marvel, which when you first saw Samuel Jackson come on the screen, you kind of go, "Oh yeah, you can see they made him look younger," and then you just forget about it completely. It was perfectly done. But yeah, I really like that. Um, Other piece of news just come out today or tomorrow or yesterday rather. I'm not sure when I'm going to upload this yet, so it probably won't be new news at that time. But Joaquin Phoenix and Rooney Mara had a baby boy, and they've named him River Phoenix after Joaquin's late brother, which is really nice. It's nice to get some nice kind of wholesome news. Like it's beautiful that we have a River Phoenix in the world again, which is really nice, I think. But congratulations to them. If you're watching, guys, congratulations. Um, and the final bit of news, let me just check. Yep, Joe Pesci is still alive. The great Joe Pesci is still with us. Excellent news. I'll be updating on that as we go. Right, and that about sums it up for episode 2 of the Lewis Cooper Experience podcast experience. like I said, I don't know when I'm going to upload this, maybe in a couple of days. So if you're watching this, it'll either be Wednesday or Thursday. I haven't got a set day yet, so I'm just going to upload them as and when I feel like it, if I've got something to talk about, basically. Check out my other videos. I've started doing a regular series reviewing the weekly British comic 2000 AD. I'm going to do some more film reviews again soon, and again, I may have uploaded it, I may not, but I've done a video on my top 5 Leonardo DiCaprio acting performances, so it may have been uploaded by the time you watch this. I haven't decided yet, but check that out. Keep an eye out for it. Otherwise, yeah, please do check out the other videos. Please leave a like on this video, because that's just what you have to say on YouTube, and it seems to help. So please do. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, because I would like that, and it would make me feel happy. So yeah, thanks for checking it out. I will see you next time. Thank you very much.